Hey there, Todd Watley, certified elder law attorney with the Elder Law Coach. I want to do a quick video for you, real quick, for a lot of people thinking about getting into elder law. I want to talk about mistakes to avoid the first year of practicing elder law. All right. Trust me, if you're new to elder law, I'm going to save you some heartache here. When started doing this 25 years ago, there was no one I could turn to, no one I could ask, no one explained to me, hey, Todd, you need to do this and this and this and be careful about this, this, and this. I've made the mistakes. The first year was rough. Honestly, the first 5 years, okay? There's just a lot of things learning this by yourself that you're going to miss. And so let's talk about just real quick 3 things that you need to be aware of so that you don't mess those up. Number one, you have to understand going into elder law that it's a very emotional practice of law. People bring in so many emotions, so many issues that they're going to bring and just dump on the table and say, help me figure this out. You'll spend a lot of time counseling. All right. I always heard the term counselor of law, and I've thought that was interesting to one of the titles that attorneys can carry is counselor of law. And I thought that's kind of weird as a lawyer, but man, once I got into elder law, it became very clear and I understood because people come in and they are emotionally drained. They've been dealing with this for a very long time and they need your help to get through this. Okay. So just understand this is a very personal type of law and you have to be aware of that. Number two, ask the right questions early. Okay. One of the things that I do when I work with new coaching clients is I'm like, here's the things you have to ask for in the meeting. Here's a list of documents that you need to ask for because what you say out of your mouth may not be exactly what the client interprets. And I'll show you a client case or discuss a client case in just a second where that truly was an issue. But failing to talk about gifts, family dynamics, powers of attorney, looking at the powers of attorney, just asking, hey, do you have a power of attorney? And their answer is yes, is like, oh, great. I don't have to worry about that. Yes, you do have to worry about it because I can promise you almost every power of attorney that you'll see is not adequate to do real Medicaid planning. And so number one, do you have a power of attorney? That's important, but you have to look at it. And not asking those questions early in my first year caused a tremendous amount of problems. And then third, real quick, I want to talk about quoting fees. Okay. You have to understand the complexity of the case so that you can charge appropriately. And you may think it's a very basic case and think, yeah, this is going to be easy. I'll just charge my minimal fee. And then you get into it. And if you quote flat fees, one of the things is once they sign a contract, you're both kind of locked in with that price. And if you don't ask enough money, you're stuck at working for cheap money. Okay. So this has happened numerous times, but there was one client particularly that, jumps out in my mind. They came in, husband, wife, they had no money. They had very, very little money, but they wanted to hire me to do the case. I felt bad because they didn't have much money. I was like, okay, here's my minimal fee to touch a case. Let's do the application. I asked what questions I thought I needed. I was like, great. And so once we get into it and we start doing things, I notice, about 2 years ago, there was a huge transfer of $100,000. I was like, I asked them if they made gifts and they said no. So I bring them in. I was like, hey, what's this $100,000 check to your son? They're like, oh, that's a loan. Really? It's a loan. Yes. Has he paid back anything? Well, no, he's going through a hard time. And it's like, what'd he do with the 100,000? Well, he put it into a business. Great. This is going to be a gift, and we're going to have to figure out some way to get this penalty covered. We're going to have to be on this case for another probably 6 or 8 months, if not a full year, to get through the penalty period and work with the home and do things and try to get alternate care because you can't go into the nursing home and run up a $10,000 bill if you don't have any money. And so this case blew up into a tremendously difficult case. And I had charged the minimum, and I was just like, so learn from my mistakes, okay? And Those are 3 things that you really need to understand the first year that you practice elder law, and if you want to make sure that you do this correctly and you don't have to suffer the mistakes that I did, trust me, I've made many. I've written enough checks for all of us to cover this. Sign up for coaching. Let me walk you through your first year, if not longer, but particularly your first year so we can catch these things early and I can make sure that you ask the right questions and get through some of these very emotional cases. And let's do this together. Okay. So give me a call, click the link below, visit the website, theelderlawcoach.com, and I would love to work with you on coaching so that you don't make these mistakes. Okay.